on earth can you possibly justify doing what you did to me tonight? Go ahead, I'm listening. Oh, I know.
Yeah, Dad, do you guys know each other before this?
No.
Oh, really? Have you heard of each other?
No.
Hey, Doc, are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it.
On what seemed like an ordinary day on the Family Ties set, two young stars crossed paths, sparking a connection that would capture the attention of fans and colleagues alike. Their early photo together hinted at a future of stardom, him with a cheeky grin, her playfully stooping to match his height, a gesture she would later look back on with amusement. As they posed for the camera, there was an unspoken promise of something deeper. There are a lot of hidden layers of a relationship that have intrigued and puzzled us for over 30 years. The spark of stardom on Family Ties. Before this moment, neither of them had met or even heard of each other. Despite both having careers on the rise, they were complete strangers. He was already a bit known in the industry, but she hadn't seen any of his work. She was making a name for herself in New York's theater world, while he was trying to break into the comedy scene in Los Angeles, which was no easy task. You might think being a comedian would make things easier for him, but it didn't. Those were tough times filled with pressure. Yet, she managed to handle it all impressively. Around this time, he was also asked to audition for Family Ties. Even though it was a great opportunity, he wasn't familiar with the show. He had only heard of it by name but never really followed it. This period was full of new beginnings and opportunities, setting the stage for what would come later.
My name is Mr. Keaton. Or sir. Oh, people like me. People like me. I happen to like people like me.
But this was just the start. The real challenges were still ahead. When Back to the Future first came out, it grabbed the attention of many, including a man who didn't yet know who Michael J. Fox was. Curious about all the excitement, he decided to see the movie himself and headed to a theater on 86th Street. Surrounded by strangers, he watched the story unfold and found himself impressed by Fox's performance. He quietly thought that Fox might have a bright future in acting. 30 years quickly went by since that day, marking a significant moment. The man not only saw Fox become a famous actor, but also had the chance to meet his family. He admired how Fox was not just a great actor, but also a devoted father. It was clear that Fox's kids were well-mannered and engaging, a reflection of the warmth and guidance their father provided, which led to a fun family moment where the kids pretended to be embarrassed by their dad's honesty. But that wasn't the only thing happening that day. It was also World Parkinson's Day, and something special was planned to raise awareness.
Up in orange tonight for the foundation.
They are.
Yeah, so if you see the Empire State Building and it's orange, it's because of World Parkinson's Day.
Yeah.
The Empire State Building was set to light up in orange, a color symbolizing hope and support for everyone affected by Parkinson's. This gesture served as a reminder that even small actions can have a big impact. The primary mission is to develop a treatment so effective that it renders their own work obsolete. The organization entered the medical field with the explicit aim of shutting down operations once they achieved their goal.
They didn't have money, they didn't have a voice, and I thought, well, I could step in for these people and raise them.
And preemptively address symptoms, potentially forestalling the need for a full cure, yet marking a significant advance in treatment approaches. The progress made thus far is encouraging, with several treatments already receiving FDA approval. The advancements reflect a trajectory of meaningful impact, fueled by collective support and dedication. Such progress not only underscores the team's commitment, but also resonates deeply with stakeholders, whose support continues to be a cornerstone of the endeavor. During a casual chat about food choices, someone brought up a famous quote, Even though it was short, it really captured the idea of eating healthy and keeping things simple. We also discussed something called a flexitarian diet, a term that was new to many people. This diet is mostly vegetarian but allows for some meat and seafood occasionally. It's perfect for those who don't want to give up meat entirely but still want to eat healthier. The flexibility of this diet is what makes it so appealing. You get the benefits of vegetarianism, but can still enjoy meat or fish now and then. The recipes we talked about were mostly plant-based, with grains, vegetables, and fruits taking center stage. But there were also options that included meat and fish, showing how adaptable this diet is. The idea was to shift the usual balance on your plate, less meat and more grains and veggies. The unseen journey of a flexitarian one person shared their story of following a mostly vegetarian diet for years until they became pregnant and had to start eating meat again to meet their nutritional needs. This change didn't mean they gave up on plants entirely. They just adjusted the balance to make sure they got enough iron and protein. So, they started calling themselves a flexitarian. As we talked, it became clear that some people were already following a flexitarian diet without even realizing it. This showed just how common and versatile this way of eating is, even without strictly following labels.
I used to drink to party, but then I was drinking alone and just drinking
Every day.
every day.
So you were self-medicating.
Yeah. And then I quit that.
Highlighting the fun side of making dietary choices. But that wasn't the most interesting part. Every recipe had been personally tested to ensure it tasted great before being added to the cookbook. This careful selection meant only the best recipes made the cut, offering a true taste of what a flexitarian lifestyle could be. Someone shared a funny story about how they used to season their food with just salt and pepper before living with a skilled cook, which led to some amusing seasoning mishaps. The end, the cookbook titled Mostly Plants, was praised for its easy-to-follow and practical recipes, making it perfect even for beginners in the kitchen. This collection wasn't just a recipe book, it was an invitation to explore flexible eating habits, beautifully presented in both words and pictures. The excitement was clear as people eagerly pre-ordered the book, ready to bring this healthy lifestyle into their homes. Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan have been happily married for over 30 years, which is quite impressive.
And then here you are, is it 30 years later?
Yeah.
30 years.
Holy moly, congratulations. That is amazing. That is amazing. Do you have any,
Especially in Hollywood, where relationships often face many challenges. Their marriage has shown a lot of strength, especially after their lives were turned upside down just 3 years into their marriage. They first connected on-screen in Family Ties, but it took a while before their on-screen chemistry turned into a real-life romance. At that time, Tracy was dating Kevin Bacon, a big name in the 1980s. They had met 5 years earlier while working on a play and had been living together in New York and at a farmhouse in Connecticut. Tracy often traveled back to the East Coast from Los Angeles, where Family Ties was filmed. She talked openly about marriage with Bacon, but they both felt too young to settle down. Meanwhile, Michael was becoming a huge star, thanks to his role in Back to the Future. His life was full of new movie offers. During this busy time, he was also in a long-term relationship with Nancy McKeon. Michael later said that he always liked Tracy, comparing their early interactions to friendly co-workers who just enjoyed each other's company. The big change in Michael and Tracy's relationship happened while they were filming Bright Lights, Big City. Around the same time, Kevin Bacon was celebrating the premiere of Lemon Sky, where he met Kira Sedgwick, who would later become his wife. Michael said that their romance developed unexpectedly, as sometimes happens when you find out about changes in someone else's relationship and feel the need to take action, like making a timely phone call. Michael and Tracy started dating, and within 7 months, Michael proposed. At that time, he was very focused on keeping their wedding plans private. He wasn't worried about Tracy saying no, but he was concerned about organizing a wedding away from the public eye. They faced some tough situations, receiving many threatening letters, which led Michael to increase his security, and Tracy to use a fake name when traveling. Even while trying to keep their wedding private, the paparazzi did everything they could to catch a glimpse, even sending helicopters to the event. Still, the couple managed to enjoy their special day. When Tracy became pregnant, Michael went out of his way to make sure he could attend Lamaze classes, even with his busy filming schedule. They also joined in on the trend of playing music for the unborn baby, putting headphones on Tracy's belly to play soothing melodies. Through all the ups and downs, their love and commitment to each other have been a true example of a strong bond, even with the spotlight constantly on them. Michael Fox and Tracy Pollan had a deep love for music, enjoying everything from the classical sounds of Vivaldi to the rock rhythms of the Allman Brothers. But their lives took a surprising turn. Just 2 years after celebrating the birth of their son, Michael received a shocking diagnosis: Parkinson's disease at the young age of 29. While filming the movie Doc Hollywood, Michael noticed his fingers and hand starting to shake. This was the first sign of early-onset Parkinson's, a serious condition that affects the central nervous system and slowly disrupts a person's ability to move.
Then things start to break down. You get a little rigid. You get tremor. You can affect your speech. It can affect all kinds of things, and it gradually gets worse. And
That instant, he made an effort to reassure Tracy, conveying a sense of calm and certainty, though fear churned within him. Understanding of Parkinson's was beyond his grasp at the time, leaving him engulfed in denial. The shock of the doctor's diagnosis ignited a surge of anger within him. The idea of such a reality seemed impossible, a mistake that surely could not be unfolding in his life. As he grappled with these turbulent emotions, the challenge of accepting this new reality loomed large. It's been over 30 years since Michael had to break the heartbreaking news to his wife. He still remembers Tracy's reaction clearly. "We didn't know what the future held," he said. "But what I'll always appreciate about Tracy is how she stayed strong in that moment without any hesitation." Back then, the full impact of his condition wasn't obvious to others, so Michael decided to keep the diagnosis within a small circle. His family handled the situation privately, but over time, the stress of his condition led Michael to struggle with depression and secretly turn to alcohol. Michael's hidden struggle. Michael's casual drinking slowly morphed into a regular routine, and he found himself often drinking alone, stashing bottles away where Tracy wouldn't find them. Despite his efforts to conceal his drinking, Tracy became aware of it, and the knowledge began to erode their relationship. Michael had shared in a 2013 interview on The Howard Stern Show that his drinking had shifted from a social activity to a solitary one as he sought to escape from reality.
Yeah. And then a lot of people had opinions about that. How dare he not take his medication? And I thought, how dare I not take my medication? What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, what's it to them?
This change led him to distance himself from those he cared about, including Tracy. Fox faced a critical moment when Pollan found him one morning, lying unconscious on the ground. Instead of being angry, she seemed detached and asked him, "Is this really what you want? Is this the person you want to become?" After that, Pollan walked away. It made him realize that he had to face life one step at a time. After that incident, he recalled, Tracy told me, "You came back. Your sense of humor was back, and you were really present." Fox admitted that he had more difficult days than usual, especially when he felt unsure about what he was doing, which often made his behavior unpredictable. "But despite all that, we've kept our love for each other strong," Fox said. Pollan agreed, adding, "Our love has stayed strong. We've had a solid relationship from the beginning." But this wasn't the most challenging part. In 1998, Fox went public about his illness. After undergoing a brain surgery to reduce the tremors caused by his condition, he openly shared his fight with Parkinson's disease. It was a surprising moment for everyone who admired the celebrity, or even those who remembered him fondly as the young Marty McFly. This event brought Parkinson's disease into the spotlight like never before. From that day, Michael J. Fox became a leading voice for raising awareness about the condition. Alongside his wife, Tracy Pollan, they've committed themselves to fundraising for research and spreading the word. Fox has faced many tough moments due to his health, with Pollan's sense of humor playing a big role in keeping their spirits up. She stands by his side every day, never wavering in her support. "Tracy's amazing," he said. "If there's a chance to laugh, we take it. We'll deal with the sad stuff later," she often says. This way of thinking has not only made their relationship stronger, but has also brought some joy into their battle with Parkinson's, making the journey a little easier to handle. In 2018, he faced one of the toughest periods of his life and needed her support more than ever. He remembered lying on the kitchen floor, his arm in pieces, unable to reach the phone. He was all alone, waiting for the ambulance and feeling a deep sense of anger at himself for the accident. He felt like he had let down the doctors who had worked so hard on his spine. Even though these challenges were tough, he realized that being realistic and optimistic could go hand in hand. Accepting his situation was the first step to moving forward. Surprisingly, during his recovery, he found comfort in watching old TV shows, especially westerns from the 1950s and 1960s. These shows helped him regain his positive outlook on life, reminding him of the strength and perseverance of the heroes in those classic tales. But there was more to learn from this difficult time. Through these experiences, he discovered how to balance acceptance with hope. He managed to stay positive while still facing the tough realities of his situation. He mentioned casually that all these TV shows were on air before he was even born. "I'm just another link in that chain. Even after I'm gone, my shows will continue, giving me a small piece of eternity." This made him feel deeply grateful for the time he spent with his kids. 2 years after a big setback, Fox celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Michael J. Fox Foundation. It started from nothing but now leads the way with 17 groundbreaking treatments that were once unimaginable. It's our foundation's 20th anniversary. If we had known it would land in 2020, we might have picked a different year, because this one has been especially tough, he joked. Fox had to stop acting because of the challenges Parkinson's brought into his life.
One of the Lamazonians, I presume.
Yes, I am.
Appearing in shows like The Good Wife and Rescue Me, where he even won another Emmy. Although he stepped out of the spotlight, Fox found new hope, tackling his condition one day at a time. You have to pay attention to every move, from planting your heel to shifting your hips, just to cross a room for a simple cup of coffee, he said, showing how complex his daily routines have become. Every step is a risk, and therefore, incredibly valuable. But that wasn't the hardest part. He shared that people often asking about his well-being can be exhausting, but it hasn't dampened his generally positive outlook. Choosing to be optimistic isn't really a choice at all. It's the only way to keep moving forward, holding on to hope, and actively working towards something better, he said with determination. When Oprah Winfrey asked if he thought Parkinson's was a strange blessing that strengthened their marriage, Fox called it a gift that keeps taking away. He explained that it changed how he sees things, making him value every moment and not take life for granted. Even with his health challenges, he and his wife Pollan still enjoy their time together, whether at glamorous events like the Emmys and the Oscars, or just quiet evenings at home. They make the most of every chance to be together, supporting each other through all the ups and downs.